Well, welcome back to the episode. I'm your host, Ken. I own a video production company that helps business owners communicate what makes them different. And today we have a special guest, Harrison. Thanks for being on the podcast. I know you just recently became a dad,
Yep.
also a husband, golf enthusiast, and a business owner. Just a few things to sort it off. But if you could share who you are, what you do to the audience.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate the introduction and appreciate being invited back. So my name is Harrison Martin. I did recently just become a dad, like Ken said. We have a little girl, 4 months old. I think on the first podcast was maybe engaged at the time.
It sounds about right.
Yeah, because it was 3 years ago or so.
Yeah, like 20.
So now married, and then just had the kiddo. Definitely golf as much as I can on the free time. But when it comes to the business side of things, I do all insurance planning, everything from commercial insurance to home and auto insurance and life insurance. Just trying to help people out however I can with it.
Sweet. I love that. I'm not sure if you watched the latest episode. I'm not sure if it's even out yet, but I've been looking at people's Instagram and asking questions of their photos. So
I don't think I've posted and
we will go as far back as we need to.
yeah.
Any memories about this photo with your buddy golfing?
Yeah. So that was. What year does it say? It was probably our sophomore.
2019.
2019.
May.
Okay. So that would have been our junior or senior year. I guess it was May. It was our senior year of college. Went to Grand Canyon University for my bachelor's and master's. And they have a ton of intramurals, things like that. And at the time, my buddy and I thought we were good at golf. And GCU was throwing a scramble golf tournament together. And so we're like, yeah, let's go play in it. And we just went out there and tried to see what we could do. And we're nowhere near the top at the time. And just, yeah, a great time. And we were sitting there looking at this putt. We needed the putt to beat the group we were playing with. And we were trying to figure out, does it go left to right, right to left? And we were just sitting there for like 2 minutes and just laughing. Like, a final decision was going, dude, I don't know which way it goes. Just hit it straight and we'll see what happens, and I'll adjust my putt accordingly. But it's definitely one of my favorite golf pictures because it was just a true, genuine moment of me and my best friend just like trying to play a sport we love, but realizing we're so far out of our element playing in a tournament and going, I don't even know which way this ball moves. Just hit it and we'll figure it out.
Was that the first tournament you played?
Yeah, that probably would be the first tournament.
Nice. How about so I'm on Callie's Instagram.
Okay, definitely probably some more recent photos.
How about this photo? In front of your house for the people that are listening. Is this your new house?
So that's our new house. So we built that house in 2021, which was peak COVID, and so was definitely a major process to get the home built. It started out as was going to take 7 months, then went to 9, then went to 12, then went to 15, and I think finally it took 16 months to build it. And at the time, we were living in an apartment before, and we kept just getting like a short-term lease added on. And then finally, we're just like, this is crazy. Like, the home's supposed to be done. So we finally like, all right, we're good. We moved out. And then they pushed it back another month. And so we were just all over the place, stayed in a hotel for 2 weeks, stayed with a buddy for a week, stayed with my family up in Colorado for a week, all while moving our year-old golden retriever around with us, who just wanted to explore everywhere she went type thing.
That makes complete sense. I mean, it's a beautiful house you guys have.
I appreciate that.
Yeah. I bet it felt so good moving in finally after all those months.
Oh, after all of the stuff, and we customized everything in it, and then with COVID there was a lot of shortage of stuff, and so the amount of times we'd get a call saying, hey, this is no longer in stock. You can wait an extra month or so, see if it comes back in stock, or we can just change it. At first, the first time we were like, all right, let's just wait, and I think after maybe that second time of saying we'll wait, we were like, nope, if it's out of stock, we're just going to change it and just to get in the home.
Yeah.
Type thing.
Was it like a compromise, but it was like kind of okay, or was it like equivalent stuff?
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things where I don't know if it's just being a guy or whatever, but I was just kind of like, I don't really care. I didn't pick 90% of this. The only room I really cared about in the home was the home office, the backyard I cared about, but past that, I was like, it's all my wife's decision. I always joke and just say when someone asks, "Hey, what needs to be done?" I don't know. I'm just an employee here. I let her make the decision. She's the boss.
I didn't know I didn't know that was the kind of the relationship, but makes sense.
Yeah.
I mean, it's
Yeah, I know my lane, and when I'm the one that just goes, oh, whatever you want, we'll make happen. And the home design was definitely not my area of expertise, so that was all her.
I understand though. I would, if I had to pick, I'll pick probably The Office too. Like
Right?
not like give me The Office.
Yep. So The
like,
Office was, I had full say of The Office, and I had full say.
So
of
what was the things
backyard.
that like you cut like what's unique, or what did you do about The Office?
So I didn't want carpet in the office. So I got like a laminate flooring put into the office. We had an option to make the office an extra bedroom, but I didn't want a closet in the office. So that one we didn't do. And then I wanted a custom door on the office as well. That was like metal on the outside and then like all glass in the middle. And then just kind of from there, just the designing of like what goes in it from the paint.
Yeah.
Because she loves painting the house, but I was like, this is my office. I'm going to pick the color. And I definitely think she was terrified when I went to Home Depot and said, hey, I'm going to come back with the paint for the office. And that's the color we're going to do. I think she was scared to see what I was going to come back with, because she was like, well, what color are you thinking? I was like, I don't know. I'm just going to go there and we're going to figure it out. And so she likes the color now. It's a blue gray
Okay. Okay.
type of color, I guess.
Is it more on the gray side or more on the blue side?
I would say probably more on the blue side.
Okay.
But yeah, so she was very hesitant at first, but liked it after
Nice.
Going up. And then another big thing I wanted is I'm big into like whiteboards, things like that. And so I originally was going to do, there's actually a paint you can paint on the wall, and it makes the entire wall a whiteboard from top ceiling to bottom.
Yep.
And finally I decided, okay, maybe that's not realistic. I don't need the whole wall. But I found a school that was closing down or doing a bunch of renovations, and so they were getting rid of like the whiteboards that are in classrooms that are covering the whole wall pretty much. And so she was out of town, and I was like, yeah, I'm gonna go get a whiteboard. I don't think she expected to come home and see a whiteboard that was 3 times bigger than what she was expecting.
Yeah, I'm a little jealous because I like my whiteboards too.
Yep.
You saw the small one, but I have a
Yep.
bigger one hiding behind it.
Oh
so
yeah,
like, yeah, I like whiteboards too.
It's the covers pretty much the entire wall.
Nice. I'm gonna go with the last photo.
Okay.
This might be, I think, my maybe personal favorite that I find is this photo. I think this is there's a lot to talk about with this, with your doggies and
Yeah.
is this, what do you call these? Echo photo? What are these?
The ultrasound.
Ultrasound. There we go. Ultrasound photos. Yeah.
Yeah. So that was. We had our neighbors come over for dinner, and we told them and made them take a photo for us. And we have the golden retriever who you saw in the first photo as well with the house. But then we decided the golden retriever needed a friend, so we got a mini Australian Shepherd. And so you can tell everything from that photo about our mini Australian Shepherd. Just doesn't want to ever sit still, just wants to give kisses to every single person. And so the person taking the photo, she was trying to get to say hi to and give kisses. And then that was the announcement for our little baby.
I feel like that's such a happy photo.
It was.
Isn't that such a like just like brings back memories?
It was. Well, and the craziest thing about that is when I look back at all these photos that we have of like during the pregnancy, of the ultrasounds, things like that, we went I guess what people would say is probably the crazier route of not finding out the gender. And so, like, at that point, I mean, up until she was born, we didn't know if she was going to be a boy or a girl or what. And so it's just crazy looking back and thinking, like, at the time her name's Charlie, and if she was a boy, she would have been Liam. And so looking back, just like, for short, we just always would say Chilium, just kind of combining the names. And so looking back just at stuff like that, it always just makes me laugh, like how much we love Charlie. And we're like, when you were just growing in your mom's stomach, we didn't know, were you going to be Charlie, were you going to be Liam, what your personality was going to be like. And so it's cool to look back at that and just the excitement and nervousness that came with all of that and becoming a first-time dad and everything.
How old is she now?
She's 4 months now. She'll be 5 months on the 4th.
What has been the past 4 or 5 months look like?
Yeah, so the past 4 or 5 months, I would say it's easier than I expected, but that's truly just because my wife Callie, she's an absolute rock star and just pretty much did everything. It seemed like I would be just changing diapers and doing things like that, but all the hard work of feeding her, nursing her, things like that, like there's obviously nothing I can really do to help. And so, I mean, she was getting up 3 times a night, 4 times a night for the first few months. When she was born, just getting up, feeding her, and I would get up, change her diaper, and then right back to bed type thing. So my job was pretty easy for the most part, but that's just because Callie was such a rock star, and Charlie's finally starting to sleep through the night, which has just made life so much easier for Callie to catch up on sleep and not feel like a zombie when she wakes up type thing.
That makes sense. Like, how do you feel about, this is such a weird way to phrase it, but how do you feel about the extra responsibility you have in life? Because, like, it's a massive responsibility, you know, like, how has that changed your work, like, other stuff, like social life, personal life, like, how has that changed?
It's definitely altered just perspective on everything. I think it's something everyone says is like, oh, once that baby's born, like your whole perspective on life just changes. And before she was born, it was like, okay, yeah, I'm sure a lot will change, but like, I don't know, whatever. Yeah. But no, life has definitely flipped upside down in such an amazing way where it's like, before I'd be at work all day and doing stuff and would be like, okay, I got to get home for Callie or whatever, and the dogs. But now it's like, I don't want to go to work almost some days because it's like she's just so happy and so smiley, and I don't want to miss the first word, or she's not quite at the crawling or walking stage, but it's just like I don't want to miss any of that stuff. I want to be there for all of it, and so yeah, it's definitely changed. Golf has gone down a little bit. I don't seem to be golfing as much. Just because I look at it and I go, well, I could be there for 4 hours or I could be here for 4 hours. And so there's definitely been a shift in that kind of stuff as well. But all for the better. I wouldn't trade it for the world. And I always knew I wanted to be a dad. And so getting the opportunity has just been amazing.
But once Charlie's old enough to swing a golf club,
yes,
then things are different. Yeah.
She will definitely be out there. Scholarships for girls in golfing is one of the easier sports to sometimes get scholarships in. Right. So I always joke with Callie that she'll be out there. We got a putting green in the backyard, and so I put her out in the high chair sometimes just as I'm putting around, and she just is watching the little ball roll and having a good time while she's out there. And her mom comes downstairs and is like, where are they? And then looks out the window and just sees both of us just on the putting green, just screwing around type thing.
Oh, that's awesome. That's beautiful. So I know you had a lot of changes in your personal life also, but business has grown a lot.
Yeah.
It's been crazy looking at you. And I guess we start from you came second place in entirety of your country financial network, right? For commercial insurance.
Yeah.
Yeah. Share us a little bit about that.
Yeah. So things have been really good. I've been very blessed. I think big part of where the success comes from is I'm very detail oriented and setting up the processes and trying to bring on the right team and things like that, realizing that I can't do everything I want to do in a day. If I could have 50 of myself, that would be amazing, but that's not realistic. And if I want to get to where I want to be, um, I need to bring more people on just because there are only 24 hours in the day, and I can't be in the office 24 hours a day because I want to be home with Callie and Charlie. And so bringing on some more staff and making sure just we have the process in place for everything we do. So every time I'm talking to somebody or an assistant or associate rep is talking to an individual, it's a consistent message going to that person, and they feel like whether they're talking to me or someone on the team, they're getting the same message and same understanding and same importance of the process.
Yeah, so I think like there can be a lot of things that we can learn from, or some value that the audience or whoever's listening into can gain is that I'm also curious of that, like your I guess like progress from starting to really becoming in the position you are. Like, what was the journey like? Was there like a tipping point where you were like, oh my god, I'm just getting so much business now? Or like, how were you getting the business? Like, can you share us a little bit about the a little bit of secrets,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. So I mean, the beginning, getting into an industry like this where the turnover rate is crazy high. It's very rare for people to make it through that first year, and then getting through the fifth year is kind of the first year is the hardest. And then once you get to that fifth year, is where people really look at it and go, okay, you've made it in the industry. You can continue to make it if you choose to stay in it at this point. And so I think when I started, it was doing anything and everything I could to get my name out there, from doing networking groups like our BNI chapter, doing a chamber of commerce, doing all local events I could find, from expo events, and just trying everything, doing a little bit of social media. That's probably the one area I still lack in the most, where I see that there's still great value that I just am not quite fully tapped into yet. But just thinking outside the box and realizing, especially when I talk to like new reps coming in, that when they go, I just don't know what to do. And it's all right, well, what does your process say? What does your business plan say to do that you've created? Like, my business plan is my lifeline. If I ever get in the situation where I go, I don't know what to do today, it's going back to that and going, okay, what are things I said I was going to do? Is it finding the next event? Is it setting up my own event? I now do a ton of food truck events where I find an office building that will let me come, and I bring a food truck and I send out a flyer the week before, and then I walk through the office the day before with a flyer and say, hey, anyone who comes down and wants to get lunch, I'll buy your lunch if you give me info to quote your insurance. So I think that's just a big thing, is not being willing to, or being willing to try everything, not being afraid to try everything. And people go, well, I don't want to cold call. That's fine. You don't have to cold call. Try it. If it's not for you, find something else. But just making sure you're never stuck and going, I don't know what to do today. Well, that means you got to go back to the drawing board and rethink your process of going, where am I going to find leads? Because at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter what industry you're in. They're all the same. The more people you talk to, the more business you're going to get, whether it's the insurance or photography. The more people you talk to and say, hey, do you want photos? Do you want a video? And they say, nope. Okay, perfect. That gets you one step closer to your next yes. I think is a big thing. And then another, I don't think it's a secret to the industry or anything, but once I kind of got stuff going, was getting the referrals and was getting things moving, realizing there's a lot of service work that comes with the insurance, from people calling in, hey, why is my payment changing? Or, hey, I got to add a car, take a car off, need to add a driver, buying a new home, things like that. I think it's very easy for people to build something and they get to that point where it's, okay, now I got to service all this. Similar to probably your industry, where you maybe get a bunch of jobs to go take photos or videos, and you go, geez, I got to do all this editing now. And now, because I'm doing all this editing and I'm doing all this service work, I don't have time to go prospect for that next yes to get to the servicing work. And so I quickly realized that I started becoming reactive, instead of active, in the sense of looking for stuff. And at that point, I was like, okay, I got to bring someone on. And so it was just under just over a year, I brought my first assistant on, and just started out 3 days a week. I was like, that's what my budget tells me I can afford, and that's where I can kind of stretch myself to. And started out 3 days a week, going, okay, I'm gonna have you coming in, helping with emails, helping with calling people who are renewing, setting up reviews, asking for a cross sell, and bringing that team on. And then from there, just kind of kept going. So then I got back to being active again and trying to find more business. Well, then that assistant got bogged down and didn't have enough time to do everything. So I had to start doing a lot of service work again. And then it was okay, bring another assistant on or get that assistant to go full time. And so kind of just throughout that, just continuing to bring people on. And I mean, like any business owner, you have the highs and lows. You find an employee, you think they're going to be great, and they decide, I'm moving to Texas. And so I've gone through all of that as well now. But the team's in a really good spot. We're up to 2 full-time assistants, 2 associate reps, so people who are out there actively looking for business. One of them really just focuses on the home and auto side. One of them really focuses on finding events to try to set up, like the food trucks. So try to get those so we can have those consistently, like once a month, to bring in a large number of new prospects. And then it allows me to go do the things I enjoy, which is the networking, the relationship building, and then some of the larger commercial accounts or life insurance accounts.
What would you say? I think we all have like different types of skill sets that we really utilize to do business. What do you think is your main strength that really helps you with this business?
That's a great question. I would say my largest strengths would be probably just the ability to communicate, ability to, whether that's communicating with a prospect, a client, my team members, just making every person feel that they're cared for and that I'm here for them. Whether it's the largest account I have or the smallest account I have, they all get the same treatment and feel like, oh, Harrison really cares about who I am and actually just wants to help protect us and do the right thing by us. So I would say that's a huge strength. And then another one would probably be just the organization that I have and that I believe in and put in process, because as a business owner, you have a million things to do. And it's very easy to get bogged down by one thing and then forget about all the other stuff, or just try to put off the other stuff. And so I think that's been a big thing where I'm good at compartmentalizing what needs to be done, when it needs to be done, and making sure I'm using my time as effective as possible.
What is what's working now the most? Like just kind of like gaining clients wise, including referrals, because I've talked to people that referrals are their best source of getting new clients.
Yeah.
And I think when people say that, it's often that they're really good at taking care of their existing clients, or they have strategies in
Yeah.
place. So everything included, like what's working for you right now?
Yeah, so I mean, a lot of our business is definitely built on referrals. Going back to, I'm probably going to say it a million times, going back to that process. We have a process of how we ask for referrals in every single appointment, whether it's a prospect we're meeting with or a client we're meeting with, talking to them and just asking for that referral, having a process set in place of how we ask for it, how we go about it, so it's the same every single time. And if every once in a while, we try something new and do that a couple times, and if we get positive feedback from it, we okay, let's edit our current script and throw this in there. Or if we go, okay, this didn't work, let's take it out of the script. But I think with being organized also means you have to be able to adapt. And realizing, okay, we did something 15 times and asked a certain way 15 times and it didn't work. We have to go back to the drawing board and try to reposition. Is it when we ask in the meeting for a referral? Is it how we're asking? Is it, we don't want to be too pushy, but are we just being almost, I don't want to say too soft, but are we just
Too
not
passive,
asking?
like,
Yeah.
yeah.
Are we just saying, hey, if you know anyone, that would be great? Well, odds are we're not going to get something. But if we're actively listening and involved in the conversation, and I mean, I loved getting to know the clients and prospects and things like that. And so it's easier to say, hey, so-and-so that you mentioned earlier, do you think they would enjoy the same process? And then it's easier for them, for the client or prospect to go, yeah, I think they would. Sure, here's their info. Go go ahead and give them a call. Or, yeah, I'll connect you guys over text or email. I think it's been super big. And then another thing I would say that's just been great for our business is not forgetting what's worked in the past. So the expo events are a perfect example where when I started, they were great and they brought a ton of business, ton of leads into the office. But as you continue to grow, a lot of business owners go and do an expo for 3 days, standing on my feet, asking every person that walks by, hey, you want to look at your home and auto insurance? That's just exhausting. And you get to a certain point where you go, well, I'm doing well. Like, I don't really want to do that. But it's good for the business. So why would I not do that? And maybe that just means I find a staff member to go for me. But I don't forget to do those things. And I think that's super important. I was actually had dinner last night with my first client I ever wrote. We just became friends over the years. And first client that I ever met, and they actually were from an expo event I did. And there was an expo this past weekend, and they were like, yeah, we thought about going and wanted to say hi to you, but then we figured you weren't going to be there, and you're too big for that now. And I was like, nope, we're still there because it works for the business. And if it works, why would I ever get rid of it, even if it's annoying to do? So I think that's a big thing that people kind of get to a certain level of success and they just go, well, I don't need to do that anymore. And it's like, but if you want to keep growing, then you should do it. Yeah.
I agree. What's next? Business-wise?
Business-wise?
Yeah, what's the next move?
Ooh. So next probably big move is actually literally a move where I started looking for new offices this past week just because we need some more room in the office. Trying to bring on more people, have an intern now, needing space for people to be able to come into the office and be there and be able to bounce ideas off each other is a big thing that I'm realizing is super important. So it's not just them talking to me, but them able to all kind of work together and mingle together and come up with a plan together, because our team, I really try to push on them that my success is our success, and when I win, we win, when you win, we all win type thing. And I think that's also the best way to keep employees, keep them happy, things like that. And so that's something where I know we need it is more office spaces for everybody. And so that's probably the next big move is finding an office space that's compatible for us. And so we Tuesday looked at an office space and super excited about the opportunity to get into a bigger space where I can try to bring on 2, 3, 4 more people and have the space for them. So they can still work remote if they want, but 1 or 2 days a week they can come into the office and have their own desk where they can sit down and work from.
That's awesome. Yeah, that's exciting stuff. I love visiting my friends' offices and clinics and whatever that they got. It's always cool to kind of check out. It might be, the trends are changing since COVID, where there's more remote work, but I still think it's nice to have a physical location where you can put yourself on Google Maps and have clients potentially visit you. I'm not sure if that's how you guys do, but like I know having an office is definitely like from a business like entrepreneur side of things, it's like something like everyone I feel like aspires to have. So that's awesome.
I love it, and it gives us somewhere to go. We definitely meet with a lot of clients in the office. We try to push everything for in person, whether it's in person in the office or going to someone's house. So yesterday I was up in Cave Creek area at someone's house, meeting with them just because they weren't able to drive down to the office, and so we went up there to kind of review some stuff and go over everything. And what's also nice about it is when we're talking on the phone, it's hard to build a relationship with them. Where when they're sitting in my office and they see some things, and I played college lacrosse, and so I have my helmets in there, and they go, "Oh, those are cool. What are those?" And it's like, "Oh, it's lacrosse. That's what I came down. He brought me down to Arizona," and it starts conversations. Or when I'm in their house and I see a big room that has a bunch of foosball machines in there, I'm like, "You big into foosball, or what's going on here?" And they started talking about, we've always loved it, but it's for the grandkids, and now I know more about their family, and part of it also is it helps build like I said earlier, the referrals.
Yep.
Now they've mentioned they got grandkids, thinking about them, asking about them, and I am asking because I care. But it also, in a business way, it does help as well for the referral side of things. On the flip side,
Like, what's your process like when you have like a big insurance claim or something that, we hope that never happens, but
yeah.
unfortunately in life, like, things do happen. Have those happened to you so far, or how do you guys handle those? Like,
Yeah, I mean, so when it comes to that claim situation, is where we can really be different than the competitors. You can go to a lot of carriers where you may be saving a few dollars or whatever, but you don't have someone to talk to when that claim time comes, or when your insurance is needed. You don't have a person to talk to. So that's where we're able to really separate ourselves in those situations by being there for the individual and talking them through the process, so they feel like it's not them versus the insurance company. It's someone to go to bat for them, who, at the end of the day, my only skin in the game when a claim happens is I want it to go as well for the client as possible, and the client to get as much paid out as possible, because that's going to be a happy client who then is going to stay with me forever. And so I think that's a big thing, where even last night when I was meeting with those family friends of ours, they had some other family in town. They were talking about a claim, and I just said something. I was like, well, they were kind of arguing with the adjuster, and I was like, why don't you just have your agent call with you and try to help argue on your behalf? And they're like, well, I don't have an agent. It's just I just call the 800 number. I don't actually have anyone. And then they were like, they kind of realized the more we talked, like, that is where a huge difference comes. If you don't have someone to advocate on your behalf, it's you versus the insurance company, and the insurance company is going to do what they want at the end of the day. Obviously, they have to follow guidelines and things like that, but they're going to protect themselves first. Where having an agent who can go to bat, and especially nowadays, where, I mean, we're in one of the hardest markets for insurance that we've seen in, I mean, way before I've been in. I have a rep that I know well, who's been in it for 40 years. He's like, this is the hardest market I've ever seen, from the number of carriers leaving the industry, freezing writing business, changing the way they're writing business. Insurance companies, we can see when companies are requesting rate changes through the Department of Insurance, and these changes we're seeing are just crazy, and people just feel like they're being left out to dry, when they don't have anyone to call into to talk to, other than the 800 number, who is somebody who is just answering a phone and giving the little script that they have, and that's about it. Where we can sit down and we can talk and go, hey, here's why you're seeing changes. Here's what we can do to prevent some of these changes moving forward, and try to help you out. And yeah, I mean, Chris is a perfect example of where I think a claim could have been handled very different if he was at a different carrier. I don't think he would have been receiving checks as quick as possible. There was a couple interesting things that kind of came up in the claim, where we were able to advocate for him, and get some things covered additional, which is what the point of insurance is, but it's only sometimes as good as the agent you have fighting on your behalf.
I want to.
I'm scared now.
Talking about conversation starters.
Okay.
The watches.
The watches,
So
yeah.
for people that have never, for the people that don't know me or haven't known me in person or whatever, like, I've been recently, my friends has enlightened me in the watch game and how beautiful these small machines are that you can put on your wrist,
Yeah.
that apparently tells the time.
Yes.
I guess I was living under a rock. I've never heard about these before, and I know that you're a watch guy as well. So
Yeah.
share us about why you like watches, or your favorite brand, or anything about watches.
Yeah. So I got into watches honestly from my dad. He had a couple watches that he always wore while we were growing up. Didn't matter what he was doing, where he was, he always had a watch on. And so I think I kind of just picked it up from that. I look up to my dad a ton, and so he's just been a huge role model in that sense. And so I think it started as me just wanting to kind of follow in those footsteps, and then kind of just I took it a little bit to the next level, from where he was. And so it started out in college, just kind of buying and selling and trading watches on like Facebook Marketplace, and some of those other platforms. And then I just kind of got addicted for a minute, where it was easier back in college to do, I would say. Even though I had less money in college, it was easier to do because I also had way less responsibilities in college. So I could kind of make some stupid purchases of a watch and not really feel like it mattered, because I was like, I have no expenses. I'm a college student, whatever. I can spend all my money that I earned at work last week on a watch. Now it's definitely changed a little bit. I've slowed down on the watch buying process, just because there's more important things to be buying than the watches. But I don't know if I would say I totally have a favorite brand or anything. I got a couple Tag watches, in love those. They're very just reliable. I'm not a very flashy watch guy, I'll say. You'll probably never see me rocking a Rolex, anything like that, just because the inside of the watch is not as great as some of the other brands, and Rolex has just done an incredible job with their marketing, to be able to get them to where they are. And don't get me wrong, they are fantastic watches. They have a lot of perks to them, but there's also just a lot of hype around them, which is what's caused the price of them to be so incredibly high. And so it probably won't be a watch I'll be ever really wearing, just because there's other brands I prefer, from Omega, and Tag, and things like Hamilton. But yeah, so it just kind of started out as something to be like my dad, and then just got addicted to it in college, buying and selling and trading watches in my free time.
So when you're choosing a watch, like, do you feel like, like, how do you choose a watch? Do you just feel like, oh, this one's like speaking to me the most, or like, do you think about like applications of like, well, I want one for like a dress watch, I want one for casual, I want one for golfing, like, how does that?
So definitely.
Yeah.
So I definitely look at them for what I'm doing and when I'm wearing them. So I'm also a scuba diver, and so I have like a dive watch. Also just love swimming in general, so I have a watch that I can just kind of wear whenever I go in the pool, not have to think about it, and it's fully waterproof up to a crazy depth type thing that I'll never be at. And so that's definitely a big thing. And then just kind of an everyday watch, where I'm not a big flashy watch guy. So it's just an everyday that someone looks at it, they go, oh, that's nice. But it's not something that's going to draw an attention with a fully gold watch type
That's
thing.
like
where,
shiny, just
yeah. So that's just not who I am. But then there's like automatic watches where there's no battery in them. It's just by movement that they charge themselves. And so I've just been always intrigued by automatic watches and kind of the inside fixtures that those ones have. And so I have a couple automatic watches that are really cool. And you're exactly right. Normally I wear suits most days. Forgot I was filming this today. Came from practice, and so was dressed down a little bit. But I have like a brown leather watch for when I'm wearing brown shoes, brown belt, things like that. I'm big into the matching, and so if it's black shoes, black belt, it's a black leather. Or just kind of depends on where I'm going. Different metal watches are for different types of suits and things like that, where leather fits other outfits better. And so, yeah, that's kind of why there are so many options out there. Some of them are just, oh, I think that one's cool.
Yeah.
I like the way it looks, and I'm gonna buy it.
Do you? How many watches you got now in your collection?
I have quite a few. Again, the purchasing has slowed down dramatically since college. I would say I probably have somewhere between 45 and 55, somewhere in there.
Lost track at some point, yeah.
Yeah, I don't totally know. Some of them I've lost or broke over the years, or like I had a little. And some of my favorite ones are the $10-$15 watches. I had like a favorite one that was perfect for just doing whatever. It wasn't gonna ever break. It was like a rubber $15 Casio watch, and I wore it to Costa Rica with Young Life to do a mission trip down there, and we were doing a bunch of painting and varnishing for their facility down there, and ended up getting all this varnish and paint inside the watch, and so it broke. But that's one I still have, and it just, I think that's a big thing too with them is just some of the memories that come with them, like different ones that like Callie has bought me for anniversaries, birthdays, different ones that some family members have got me for certain occasions. And so I think some of the least expensive probably mean the most to me, just because there's memories that come with them when I got them.
I agree. That's yeah, I think the occasion meaning we had. I think it's a great gift.
Yeah.
Something that I noticed too. I think a watch is a great gift.
Yeah.
It's something that it lasts and it's reusable and it's fun to look at.
Yeah.
But Harrison, is there any questions that I didn't ask that you might want to share? Any thoughts?
I mean, I guess only additional thought I would kind of elaborate on for anyone listening, whether it's someone trying to get in the business or really a consumer, just realizing that the market we're in, like I said, is what's considered an extremely hard market, meaning rates are going up a lot, meaning there's multiple carriers leaving the industry, freezing of writing new business. I think it's just super important to make sure you're insured with someone that you trust and that you can call on. And I think a lot of people are realizing right now, as the accident rates are going up, the cost for cars are going up, that they need a person to be able to talk to when they have questions. And as convenient as going online and buying insurance online is, it's not worth doing that right now, because when push comes to shove and you need that extra help, having someone that you can trust that's going to do the right thing for you is going to be so incredibly important. More people than ever are using their insurance. The world is extremely sue happy right now, and having someone that can truly advocate on your behalf to get you what you deserve, and to get you whole again is going to be so incredibly important as the market continues to change and carriers continue to move out because of the amount of losses that they're facing, the fires, things like that. It's just it's crazy, and so I think it's probably one of the most important times to get insured, where you can actually have a rep to talk to go see, or have them come out to you, because we're seeing a lot of people hurt right now because they didn't know what they were doing when they set it up, and the limits that used to be okay are now not nearly enough. We're seeing major changes in that as cars prices are just skyrocketing. Well, you now total a car, now it's worth way more than it maybe was 5 years ago, and so these limits aren't enough, and so people are just seeing the prices going up but not realizing, like, I may need to actually raise my coverages. I need to review my home. The cost for materials, labor is just crazy different. And same thing with the commercial side of things. These business owners are facing a lot of challenges right now. And so making sure that they're insured with someone who is reputable, who's not going anywhere as well. The last thing you want to do is get insured somewhere and then in 6 months or a year get a letter from them saying, we're going out of business, you're being sold to X, Y, or Z, and now you're trying to shop around, and it's just not going to get you a good rate at that point. Longevity with companies, I think in the next year is going to be one of the way larger of a discount than it ever has been, because companies are looking for loyalty right now and going through stuff. So I think that's a big thing that people need to be aware of, and just don't hear it from carriers if they don't have a rep to talk to.
And leads to my last question of where can people find you if they need a commercial insurance?
Yeah, so you can just, if you look up Harrison Martin, Country Financial, you can find me there. It's got my email, phone number, everything like that on there, to be able to reach out and see if we can have that conversation. And that's what I always tell people. Taking 5 minutes out of your day to have a conversation is nothing. You have nothing to lose at the end of the day. If we review it and we say it looks great, we can't save you money, you know you're in a good spot then. But there's a lot of times where we review it and we go, hey, your coverages are here, but they should be here based on your assets, your net worth. And I'll be the first to tell someone, hey, just call your current carrier, raise those rates there, and you're good. Or hey, maybe it's worth switching companies type thing, to a not only an extremely reputable company, but save some money, have a rep to fight for you, things like that.
Well, amazing, Harrison. That's it for the podcast, and thanks for being on.
Yeah, well, I appreciate the invite. Looking forward to the next one.